Hi guys, so while a debate was taking place on corruption in politics in the House of Commons on Monday, Boris Johnson was doing everything he could to avoid Westminster, which many saw as a complete dereliction of duty. But while the Prime Minister was hoping to avoid the spotlight, he did get a mention in the media, once again for the wrong reasons. He was on a visit to the Hexham General Hospital, and it was clear that he was not following the guidance there. He was wandering the corridors maskless. Well, his Foreign Secretary was challenged on this, and Dominic Raab responded to mildly challenging questions in the way that Dominic Raab usually does, with a complete lack of understanding. Let's hear what he had to say.
We've talked a fair bit, haven't we, about the Prime Minister Boris Johnson and that hospital visit yesterday. I'm just going to share some images now from the hospital yesterday. He was at Hexham General Hospital, not wearing a mask. Everybody else in the image that we can see at the moment is wearing a mask. What type of message do you think that sends out?
Well, I know the Prime Minister took the advice on the clinical setting that he was in and followed all the protocols and procedures that were applied there, and that's what everyone should do.
But obviously he didn't, because the staff were wearing masks, and we can see every other person in the image was wearing masks. We can just double check. You can see here there are people in the distance who are wearing, not wearing medical outfits. They're probably, I don't know whether they're doctors or not. Maybe they're people with Boris Johnson. They're wearing masks. The only person on this screen who's not wearing one is Boris Johnson. You can't say that he was following the guidance, because the guidance is that you have to wear a mask at all time in the hospital.
Everybody else in the image that we can see at the moment is wearing a mask. What type of message do you think that sends out?
Well, I know the Prime Minister took the advice on the clinical setting that he was in and followed all the protocols and procedures that were applied there, and that's what everyone should do.
Do you think, though, that maybe that's not the best look for a Prime Minister going into a hospital? And I know you're saying that in clinical settings he wore a mask. I was working in a hospital last week. I was filming. We put masks on from the moment we stepped through the door.
I think the right thing to do in all those settings is to take the advice that you've got, follow the guidance very carefully, and I know that's what the PM did.
But he didn't. The guidance is to wear a mask at all times in the hospital. He obviously was not wearing a mask at all times in the hospital.
I'm just going to read you the quote, actually, from the hospital itself. They say, anyone attending our hospitals and community settings must continue to wear a face covering at all times to protect patients, visitors and staff. Your reaction to that?
Well, my understanding is that the Prime Minister followed all the guidance that was given to him from the moment he was at the hospital and obviously in the different settings that he visited.
Obviously he did not. Now, probably what happened was they told Boris Johnson, you need to put on a mask when you enter the building. Here is the guidance here in front of you before he enters. He may have put it on when he entered, and then he took it off after when he was getting interviewed by the media. He gave a number of interviews and he took off the mask to give the interview. It was not necessary to take it off, but he took it off. And then he didn't put it back on again. And no doubt people were trying to drop a few hints. Prime Minister, the mask. Oh, yeah, I'll put it on after. Yeah. And he didn't bother to put it on. Now, I don't know whether this is Boris Johnson deliberately breaking rules or ignoring the guidance, or it's just indifference, or he's just forgetful. I don't know which it is. But it demonstrates that he's not the person who should be there. If he can't remember to wear a mask, then he shouldn't be in the bloody hospital. It's not that difficult. It's not a huge requirement. And it does, of course, and I've mentioned this before on the channel, it sends the wrong message to the public. The mask should be worn at all times. You can give an interview while wearing the mask. Politicians do it all the time. You don't have to take it off. People can hear you. The voice is a bit muffled, yes, but we can still hear you. It's not necessary to take it off. But Boris Johnson takes it off, doesn't bother to put it back on again, and, he wanders around. Obviously, he sees other people wearing the masks. Why can't he put it on? Is he that stupid? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. But once again, about Dominic Raab has no understanding, or he pretends not to have any understanding.